about Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, but it's not about politics. It's about sports because he's talking about setting aside $1 million in the state budget for any potential litigation coming down the pike to sue the NCAA or to sue somebody because of the college football playoff selection committee. Will you stop? First of all, sir, don't you have bigger priorities? I mean, you're trailing Donald Trump by about 59 points in the polls. The man ain't even show up to debate you because he considers you that insignificant. Don't you have bigger problems? Don't you have bigger problems? And here's why I don't bring up this subject. It's about Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida, but it's not about politics. It's about sports because he's talking about setting aside $1 million in the state budget for any potential litigation coming down the pike to sue the NCAA or to sue somebody because of the college football playoff selection committee. Will you stop? First of all, sir, don't you have bigger priorities? I mean, you're trailing Donald Trump by about 59 points in the polls. The man ain't even show up to debate you because he considers you that insignificant. Don't you have bigger problems? Don't you have bigger problems?
But let me tell you about the president. When we had a hurricane hit Northwest Florida, a lot of people had forgotten about that. Those folks were really, really in dire straits. I went up to the Oval Office, and even though a lot of people told him, don't do anything, just let it go, he was right there standing behind the people of Northwest Florida. He has helped rejuvenate that area. He saved Tyndall Air Force Base. It's going to come back bigger than ever. Very important for our military. When we were trying to get Floridians access to cheaper prescription drugs, we had an avenue to let people buy them in Canada because it's about a third of the price a lot of times. And everyone said, no, you can't do it, you can't do it. I went up, met with the president, and he said, no, we're doing it. And so they're in the process of putting that through right now. President Trump has stood with our communities in South Florida, Cuban Americans, Venezuelan Americans, to stand for freedom in this hemisphere and stand against the dictatorships in places like Caracas and Havana. And the president has stood. We're one of the most military and veteran-friendly states in the country. He has stood by our veterans, and he has stood by our military. And so our success in Florida, obviously we've got a lot of great people in this state, but we have a president who not only understands Florida, he supports what we're doing here. I got him, bug him now about maybe locating the Space Command in Florida at some point. I know the Air Force doesn't want it, but he makes his own decisions, as we've seen. So thank you, Mr. President, for being a good friend of Florida, and God bless you, God bless Florida, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you, guys.
As Americans, I'm confident we believe in honesty and decency. Happy Pride Month.
The shocking discovery of cocaine just steps from the Oval Office.
How this got into the White House and who brought it in, all of those questions still lingering.
I'm confident we believe in honesty and decency. Trump doesn't seem to believe in any of that.
Merry Christmas. How are you? Everything good? You doing well in school?
Hello, good evening.
Well, that's very good. Well, you just have a good time. Well, guess what? We're saying Merry Christmas again.
The judge presiding over this particular case is Judge Arthur Engoron, who, just for your reference, recently referred to President Trump as a quote-unquote bad guy. And, well, surprisingly, he also ruled against him. Judge Engoron, 2 weeks ago, ruled that the Trump Organization did illegally inflate the value of their assets to secure more favorable bank loans. President Trump's legal team, they did indeed file an emergency appeal to that decision, urging the New York Appeals Court to reconsider the judge's ruling. And on Friday, the appeals court accepted this argument. and they issued a stay on the judge's order. And just for your reference, a stay in this particular context is equivalent to a temporary injunction against the judge, meaning that the appeals court has essentially put a hold on the dissolution of Trump's New York-based businesses. And if you thought that was interesting, well, hit that subscribe button and get more videos just like this.
Look, here's what I'm just saying. I'm not a drinker. I can honestly say I never had a beer in my life. Okay?
Right.
It's one of my only good traits. I don't drink. Whenever they're looking for something good, I say, I never had a glass of alcohol. I've never had alcohol. I've just, for whatever reason. Can you imagine if I had? What a mess I'd be. I'd be the world's worst. But I never drank.
There's nowhere I'd rather celebrate this Thanksgiving than right here with the toughest, strongest, best and bravest warriors on the face of the earth. This evening, as millions of families sit down at their dinner tables back home, they'll be saying a prayer for the men and women serving our nation. Each of you came to do your duty. You came to defend American liberty. You came because our nation needed you, and they needed you right here. The men and women of our military are totally loyal to our country, and every day I am president, America will always be totally loyal to you. Our citizens know that you're standing guard, killing terrorists, crushing our enemies, and keeping America safe. And I'm here today to just really say happy Thanksgiving, but also thank you very much. Great job. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
Joe Biden, me, I would settle for a world in which I could worry about the same kinds of things that my parents worried about. I only had to worry about the grades my children got in school rather than the drugs they're being exposed to. In which I only had to worry about the prices my wife had to pay at the supermarket instead of fearing that she might get mugged by a junkie in the parking lot as she loads her groceries into the car. In which tonight, I could call my mom just to wish her pleasant dreams, not for the purpose of making sure she's safe in her own home. That's the kind of world I want. That's the kind of world you deserve. And there's no reason we can't have it.
On day one, I will sign a new executive order to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory, transgender insanity, and other inappropriate racial, sexual, or political content on our children.